G'day, welcome to Mad Scientist Prospecting. My name's 𝗬𝗂𝗶𝗴 and welcome to the latest video in the series of the Choose Your Own Prospecting Adventure, where I show you the ground, you tell me where to dig, and then I feed back the sample results to you, and then we discuss where to dig next. At least that was meant to be what's happened. This morning, I've needed more than my customary 2 coffees to get up and going.
Stuart, here you go.
Ow! Hot!
Poor old man, you. Too hot.
Everything is aching.
Man.
Oh, shut up, you. Pluses to marrying a younger woman, there are also some drawbacks. Where was I?
Old.
The weather report for the morning was cold and wet. 95% chance of showers. So the first thing I had to do was answer a crucial question about how I was going to get kitted up. Do I wear long johns under the waders or not?
Hey, Annalise.
As you can see, I didn't get any help or support from my family in making this decision. So you can see how much the water level's gone down. The water was up to here when we were here last. And you can see that despite this being an incredibly remote, and despite the fact that this is an incredibly remote spot, we have had interlopers. So I've started by removing the tyres and a few of the rocks. I think I might leave that big bugger in because, you know, it's heavy. I'm ready to get cracking. But before I do that, I wanted to discuss a couple of thoughts I'd had while I was editing the last video. Now, before I started this whole process, I had a couple of theories of where the gold was going to be. One of them was that there would be a perpendicular band of gold that would be formed by these bigger rocks forming a barrier across the flow. As one would be deposited, then another, and then another, it would form a sort of wall, and then the gold would be deposited behind that like a sort of natural riffle. That was one possibility that I wanted to check out. The other possibility, and this was the one that I thought was more likely, is that somewhere, starting at the front of the gravel bar, there would be a pay streak of some width. Now, as we've been digging, as we've been doing the samples, I sort of came up with this idea of maybe, rather than being a feature of the bank, it was a feature of the area associated with those rocks. But, and you're going to laugh at this, those of you guys who've got more experience at prospecting, what if the pay streak is where this big rock was, and it runs in that direction to where that big rock used to be, which is there, and then continues on that way. Now, in hindsight, I think that's bleedingly obvious that is the more likely possibility, rather than there be a local distribution here and a local distribution there, and then a local distribution, you know, off somewhere else. There's other big rocks through this, you know, through the grass up there. So I'm willing to place a bet, and the currency I'm going to use for the bet is, you know, my sweat, that the pay streak runs that way through there. And the reason I was getting good gold, or reasonable gold, out of that hole in the side here was because I was heading back towards the pay streak, which is underneath that big tussock, is my guess. Now, if that's the case, then that means that there could be gold, not just in that little tight spot where we've been finding it, but there could be gold all underneath here, which means I really need to stop talking and start digging. Well, I had this cunning plan of shooting some slow-mo B-roll to make the digging scenes a little bit more interesting, but that plan has been foiled. It rained a little bit last night. Well, I've got 3 partial buckets, about, let's say, 3 2/3 buckets, which makes it 2 buckets, if my maths is correct, of material where I've got rid of the big and the boring. But more, I'm not really so much classifying the material, but mainly what I'm doing is I'm cleaning the clay off everything and shaking it up and breaking it up. I've probably got at least another bucket on the mat, and I thought that it would be a good time to do some test pans because I'm getting down to a consistent, the consistent bottom across a larger area of the material, and there's, where do I attack next? Because there's a couple of spots where I can, now that I've got down, I can sort of go sideways and really kind of lift up material a lot faster. Going down through all the packed gravel is, well, tricky. So I did some test pans. First one I did was facing upstream on the right-hand side of where that big rock was, the big rock. And I got a shotgun pellet, nothing else, not even fly poop. But I've just done a test pan from the left-hand side of where the big rock was, and have a look what I found. Got 3 or 4 bits of lead. But in addition to that, we've also got this little beauty. How cool is that? However, it is disturbing. It is very disturbing. Now, I'm really grateful that I found that picker, but as a sample pan goes, that sucks. Because I've got 1 piece of gold. Now, what if when I was sampling on the right-hand side, I just missed it with my shovel, or it just fell off the shovel. For a sample pan, I would like a distribution. I would like a collection of different pieces. Now, I could say that the lead counts towards that, like 3 or 4 pieces of lead plus 1 gold picker. That's a much better sample pan than the 1 piece of lead on the right-hand side. So based on that judgment, I reckon we can probably leave the left-hand side alone and focus on the right. But it's not filling me with confidence. The thought that just has occurred to me though, and this is an exciting thought, you expect to find the chunky gold at the front of the gravel bank because it's the heavy stuff, it's where it falls out first. The lighter gold is going to be more distributed towards the tail. So that means that the stuff I'm digging now could be a waste of time to dig to put through the high banker, but it would be a very good place to bring a monster down and dig with the monster. Especially if I started going further upstream, because there might be even chunkier gold. Wouldn't that be cool? Hey? Wouldn't that be cool? Problem is I don't have a detector. The workable plan is we go back towards where the sandstone rock was sitting, dig all of that out until we get down to the clay, and then do a sample pan in the right-hand wall looking downstream, underneath the right-hand wall of the trench looking downstream. Now I would expect we'd still get gritty gold, but we would start to get some finer gold as well. Now if that happens, then I know my theoretical thinking is working, and that would be a cool result. Of course, if that doesn't happen, that's also a good result because it means my theoretical thinking was wrong, and it's always good to know when you're wrong. But I hope I'm right. I really hope I'm right. So back to dig. I've cleaned off the drop cloth twice now. I've got a total of 6 buckets ready to run through the high banker. And I've just done another sample pan closer to where the sandstone rock was. And have a look at this still. 3 bits of lead, 3 bits of gold. So I reckon the theory's right. I'm still haven't cleaned out the bottom of that hole, so I'm not really ready to dig or expose any further material. I don't want to dig down too deep because then I get into the clay, and the clay is going to be pretty difficult to process because it's so sticky. So I want to stay above the clay as much as possible, just sort of skim it with the shovel rather than dig into it. But having said that, digging into the clay is a job for another day, because there's a pretty good chance that there is gold in the clay down 6 to 8 inches. Because, you know, it cracks, and when it cracks, it opens up, and then the gold falls down into the cracks. So at another point, I'm going to have to dig all that out. If a claim jumper doesn't get to it first, which is always possible. But anyway, dig, 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 dig. So I'm feeling pretty proud of myself, all the effort I've been putting in. What did you just say?
The sluice isn't set up, so what have you been doing the whole day?
As if I've just been, you know, lying around.
That's what you're doing at the minute.
Because I'm knackered. Oh, and Keith from Hard Rock University, I've got something to show you. Look what Sarah's brought me. I think that's kind of appropriate. Nice little bit of Tasmanian camembert. Very nice. Me down on the high banker, and she's doing a fabulous job running things through there. Ugh, you having fun? Really?
Yeah.
Really? I'm not sure, I'm not convinced. Anyway, let's get in the hole. I'm just gonna grab a sample from this layer on the waterline. Trying to avoid the more compact clay layer that's underneath it. So that's below the waterline. I showed you before. Beautiful stuff, but not what we're after. I want to see if this here has gold. Right, I'm seeing tiny little pieces, but not much. Well, I've just taken a sample from the wall in here, right in underneath there, and panned out a pan of this material from in there, and, and I've got 2 tiny specks. So if we're going on the theory that we've got a very narrow pay streak, I'm past it on this side. So what I want to try now is, this is just basically the edge here. I'm going to see if I can get out one of these big rocks without this all collapsing on me. This rock goes all the way right over to here, and if I move that, that's all going to come down. But just here, there's another rock that's kind of poking out from underneath it. Now there's the hole from that rock. Let's see if we can get in there. Look what we got. It's not very, it's clay. Oh yeah, there's some sandy clay. Oh, let's pan that off, see if we got anything. Well, I don't know what's going on. I got something out of that one, but nothing like the pickers or the lead. There was no lead in that. So what the hell is going on? You got good pickers there, good pickers there. I haven't really had a solid sample from here where I've had a good result. And I didn't sample it because I was working off the results we got from the previous samples. I was just digging it out. However, it was where I found the horseshoe, which I'll show you in a bit. There was good. So maybe I'm still too far to the right, and I actually need to just go bang and hit that big rock and get in behind it and find heaps behind there. So I reckon for the next trip, that's what I'll be doing. Unless anyone's got some bright ideas. Well, I'm knackered and confused. Yeah, so I don't know whether to go with localized pay streaks associated with the larger rocks, or whether to go with, you know, the one pay streak, because it's disappeared. And I think the answer is going to be behind that big rock that we've left there for another time. Did find some cool stuff though. We got some great pickers in some of the sample pans, and I've had a look in the top box, and there is some chunky gold in there. I had a quick peek, and I've also got my bucket of clay. But the rain that the Bureau said was coming looks like it's finally starting to really come. It's been spitting on and off for the last little bit. I'm getting cold because I'm no longer digging like a fiend. Time to go home, have a hot shower, and then I've got to check how much gold I got. I've got to do the cleanup. So I will see you back at the house.
Oh, I see lead. Look at it all. All those shotgun pellets.
Oh, I see gold.
Where?
Is it towards the corner
So do
there?
I.
I see it. Oh, Dad, there's a piece of gold right there.
Oh, did you see that flash of colour?
did.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. There's a deformed shotgun pellet and two little pickers next to it. There's a flat bit of lead and little gritty bits of gold, small piece of lead, gritty bits of gold. Nice little picker. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, my gold's floating away.
Well, that was fun. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get back to this spot again for two reasons. One is that Craig definitely needs his pump and his hoses back. And the second is that the water level is going to definitely be up, especially with all this extra rain. It probably won't stay up for that long though. And I guess something that could get me back to this spot sooner rather than later is if you guys want to do a meetup and come up to Bendigo and we can dig this gravel bank out, get it all stripped out and get all the gold. Now, if that were to happen, that would be cool, because once I've shown a bunch of people where this spot is, there's no real reason for me to keep it secret as much as I have been, and I can start giving the broader context of this site, and that will feed back into the fluid dynamics of prospecting videos I've been doing, because there's a bunch of theoretical things that I want to talk about this site, and that will make sense, of course, when I do the videos. And I've also got some other theoretical stuff to share with you. A really cool demonstration I saw the other day that shows off the difference in the relationship between velocity and pressure, which is completely different to what you hear most people say. For fast flowing water, low pressure. Slow moving water, high pressure. Get it right. Seriously, I watch so many prospecting videos and I love them. I love the guys who are doing it, but every time they talk about gold collecting in low pressure videos, no! But that'll be a topic of conversation for another time. If you're joining us for the first time, you want to carry along and see those theoretical videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you know when they come out, and I will catch you guys anon. Bye-bye. So right now, let's Doug. So as of right now, I don't know what. Oh.
Annalise, what have you done? What did you do? Did you put Dad to sleep?
Yeah.
You better wake him up because he's in the middle of filming. Come here. Lucky, come here. Give Dad a big kiss to wake him up.
Oh! Oh, you little cheeky thing!
Dad, can I have an ice cold?
Yes.
Yay!
You set her up. Right, what just happened then, I'm not going to tell you. I'll do another video on it some other time, but it's a game that Annalise and I play. Where the hell was I?
I don't know, you're old and forgetful.
Stop it! Where was I?
Old and forgetful.
Oh, forget.
Have you stopped recording?
No.
Oh.
No, I have not stopped recording.
Oh.
So I'm getting footage and recording of you being annoying.
Not annoying.
Where was I?
Old and forgetful.
Where was I?
Old and forgetful.
Shut up.